we're finally back with Grand Theft Auto, but with the Liberty City Stories aspect. And it is finally done 100%. It was such a good time. I had some headaches, and we're here to talk about it, okay? Let's have a little sit down, and let's have a chat. Now, when it comes down to Liberty City Stories, it originally released on the PSP back in 2005. It was game breaking for that system because it's basically a console experience on a portable platform, on a real portable platform. This is before the Switch. So it's awesome. It's an awesome game that happened during that time period, which pushed forward for Grand Theft Auto because unfortunately with Grand Theft Auto Advance, it is a previous title with the Game Boy Advance. It really just bombed. It didn't do well, unfortunately. And it went back to the original game style of Grand Theft Auto 1 and 2. It just didn't work out. So now with Liberty City Stories, and then that was released back then, it was a great time. It was such a mind-blowing milestone to pack in such a lengthy, short game, and it's action-packed. It's a lot more in the sense of compared to Grand Theft Auto 3, because we are revisiting Liberty City, okay? We are not, we're not in Vice City, San Andreas, or any of that nature. And we just finished San Andreas. I think if I remember correctly, looking this up, it was finished less than 1 day, shy of a year from the release of San Andreas to this game. Now, Rockstar, is already brewing on the next big game that was, obviously we know now is Grand Theft Auto 4. I will have to say there is many upgrades from Grand Theft Auto 3 compared to, to this game. You have multiplayer, 6-player multiplayer. You're able to pop tires, have motorcycles, helicopters, more activities such as the Trash Master Trash and Dash. You had drive-by, like shooting little galleries you can do, races. You have RC races. You can actually have blowing up triads with the raging. I think it's raid RC raid triads or something like that. There was more vehicles. Original Grand Theft Auto 3 had originally 56 vehicles. This game with 2 helicopters, 75 vehicles. With the PSP at the time, you were able to put your own music, which was actually pretty nice. It was pretty nice. If you own music files and you were able to have a decent memory card, you were able to put a good amount of music into this game, because the soundtrack, and we're gonna talk about it right now, but the soundtrack, it's not their best. I will say that real quick. It's not their best, but there is a few artists that made the cut that kind of give it a jive for the time period. The world and the story, it's set in 1998, but there's some music that just jives, and it is from that time period. So like for Fat Joe, Big Pun, Method Man, and then Giorgio Moroder, or Morador, or Giovanni Giorgio. He is basically he has a big legacy on making music, 80s music, a bunch of different type of music, dancing music, disco music, X, Y, and Z, right? But a lot of his disco music from the 70s are in this game, and literally take up all of Flash. That's literally all his music. And then you have the Rise FM station, where just a lot of jumping, dancing music, pumping up music, house dance, acid techno, and all that good stuff. And then obviously my favorite station from Grand Theft Auto 3, and it's in there, is MXX 98. That held me down for this game, because I'll be honest with you, with the soundtrack not being as great as San Andreas, Vice City, it's kind of like, okay, we're trying to get through this. So editor me here, I'm just trying to let you know, I used the PS2 version of the game on a PS2 emulator. The reason why I'm saying this is because that's I'm going off the soundtrack that's actually provided for the game. I didn't get to have the PSP version, so I wouldn't be able to use the custom music that was actually part of this. So yeah, that's basically it. Anyways, back to the video. Runs great. There's a patch where you can get 60 frames. It's really fun, but God Almighty, the soundtrack for what it is, it's okay. It's like a good 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10 if you want to put it like that. But that's what held me down for this. Another great additions to this is that weapons. The original game in Grand Theft Auto 3 had 13 weapons. 13. In this game, you have 32. 9 weapon slots, and then I think you have 1 slot for like a camera for like an activity or some missions. The weapons are they're much needed. I'm gonna be honest with you, man. The weapons make it so much fun. You know, having an RPG to the minigun, and then actually having the M60. Having the M60 makes it so much worth it because Vice City had it, you know, and it makes sense. It makes sense, you know, having that extra big weapon, and you actually unlock it by finishing certain activities through this game. Now, there is the ferry transport that was added on into this world. It's like prior to the tunnel and all that kind of stuff. It's okay, like if you need to take a whole vehicle. But the thing is, too, like at a certain part of the game, you could literally go in the bridge. That's literally just another way of moving, or the subway. You know, you still have the EL train in the game too as well in Portland. But for the most part, it's just another mode of transportation. It's all right. Now, when it comes down to it, the bad things about this game that I personally I'm kind of like confused. No swimming, no climbing like in San Andreas. Those are my two kind of gripes. You know, you can get those 2 helicopters in the game by certain missions. That's it. That's basically it. The helicopters are not readily available. You know, it was a big thing in Vice City, a big thing in San Andreas. It's like, come on now, you know, it's the helicopter. We need it. We need to get around and transport and all that stuff. It's like, damn, you know, it is what it is though. You can still get around, have a good time in this game. This game is not a long game, but the time they do take place in this game, it's still pretty fun. A lot of activities to do. The 100% to this game took about, you know what, 45, 55 hours. We're on there, maybe. Maybe I had a little fun. And even at that, you don't really have to make too much money, but there's so many activities for you to make money. It's not really a problem. It's really up to you what ways you want to do or where you want to go. You still have your upgrades from the activities like the taxi, you know. You get an upgraded taxi. Cool. Police officers, you know, with the vigilante. Cool. You get an upgrade on your armor. Ambulance is a sprint, you know, infinite sprint. The firefighting is literally fire retardant, so you don't have to get burned. So basically, when you finish those 4 core ones, it's a lot easier. It's a funner game, if that's a way to say it. But you know, it's a good time. It's a good time. Now that being said with the soundtrack, now being said with the whole 100%. The 100% is it's a bit of a journey, I'll say. It literally took me a little longer than I thought, because I thought I could knock it out in maybe like 25, 30 hours, but man, it starts to weigh you down at the end. But the good thing is though about this is that besides the activities, you know, kind of weighing you down, and it's mainly a lot of racing. The RC, oh man, the RC racing, it could be a pain. Once you kind of get the hang of the left analog controls, because man, that can throw you off if you go too hard right or too hard left, and you gotta like move it just right, you know, a little twitch. And I had some issues in the beginning of that. Other than that, there's some other activities like Slash TV, which is fun. The Trash Dash was okay, but it was just a pain at the end when I forgot the ending island. I forgot that you pissed off all these other people, so they're going ahead and just shooting your vehicle down. When you're coming to the dump or the trash yard or whatever. And then you got like this little group. It's like a side vigilante thing that's actually a vigilante thing. It's like the Avengers or whatever. It's very very funny because then you get into that and then you just go out and about and start doing stuff. You know, you got to do that in each island too as well. But the upgrades were worth it though. The upgrades were worth it when you do that because you get a bike, a suit, and then I think the very last one is an M60 at the house, at the safe houses. You still get your goodies while you're putting time on these little activities. But for the most part, a lot of the other ones though, they're like the salesman, the car salesman, the bike salesman. It's all money. There's one. It's called Carnage, or Carnage Armageddon, or something like that. And it's a goofy one. It's a fun one. But man, make sure you do it right because one time I almost flipped and they almost fell in the water. And oh man, it was just a headache. It was just a freaking headache because you're able to flip your car back upwards, but then like God forbid, the car's on fire and oh man, it was rough. It was very rough. There's some other activities that are out there, you have to do like the hidden packages, the rampages, and so on. Other than that, the missions save the day though, because the story missions for the story, they're short, they're to the point. Some of them are kind of detailed and tell you more about the lore. But it's really honestly the story is literally Tony Cipriani's uprising. You know, him returning after doing I guess a hit on somebody, on a higher official on another mob family, and then just rising through the ranks. He ends up being the right hand man for Salvatore Leone, and you get to know more how Salvatore is throughout this game. There is a little nod that you end up do seeing in Grand Theft Auto 3. And if you don't know that story, and it's pretty simple as well, but you'll figure it out if you play these games. But it's not too complicated, and I think that's at its benefit for this because one, it's a portable title. God forbid you don't need extra missions or something like that for the game to be fluffed up. If anything, the fluffing up of the game is the activities. There's so many activities part of this 100%. It was kind of monotonous at the end. It's still an arcadey kind of game. You still got health pickups, body armor pickups. The weapon pickups look like just little auras you pick up in the game. And it's still a fun time. Regardless of like what, the bigger scope of the game, or, if you're just enjoying the game for what it is. Because the story, it checks the boxes, it does the job. The voice acting is not too bad from, Tony Cipriani and Salvatore Leone. Good. It was decent. The cast is not huge though. It just enough. It's a little piece here and there, a little piece here and there. You got other characters that come about. They set the story straight. This is a prequel to Grand Theft Auto 3 that goes on to other games, and yeah, that's your whole little story bit on this game. Now, as I've been talking about these activities, man, I have to say they're pretty fun. They kind of keep you entertained in this game. There's even some I haven't announced, like there's like the scrapyard jungle or something like that, where you have to hit these checkpoints. It's like the same thing you kind of get from like Grand Theft Auto 3, Vice City, little checkpoint missions, or running around doing these little missions just to earn money or higher, high score or something like that. It's really nice that they thought about all this because for a portable title, I think they were trying to hit a mark of like maybe 25 to 30 hours of gameplay, like of gaming hours for the whole game, and you get about that much. You're going about, there is like a little dirt track you do. I think it's called bump and grind. Oh man. Oh man. The motorcycle controls are especially the Sanchez. There, and you know what? You get a new one. It's called the Manches or something like that. And it's actually pretty decent. It's fast. It's a little bit more loose on the controls, but I thought going through that little completion and trying knocking that out, I thought it was still a fun time. Even though the very last race in that little activity set was a challenge. It was surely a challenge because you had to basically go through all the track and you got to be quick. You know, you got to finish up quick on, and there's like time limits in that part, which it was such a pain in some areas or some particular races. Now, one thing I did get annoyed, I will say, there's races that are separated throughout the whole city. I'm like, come on, get out of here. Why we couldn't just do this on one telephone? No, no. There's like 7 races around the whole 3 islands you have to go find. I was like, oh, great. Yeah, now and then you look into your stat page and you're just like, all right, I did that one, and then you got to get first place. You don't get first place, you fail the race, and then you got to do it all over again. You got to go back to the original phone thing, and you know you don't get those nice checkpoints or the restart mission like in the recent definitive edition where they've been doing, or like even in the newer games like Grand Theft Auto 4 or 5. You know, you don't get to, restart, for that. But yeah, that's that was a little my little rant on that at least. But for the most part though, all these newer vehicles, newer activities, looking back at Grand Theft Auto 3, this is just like a little thought and hindsight of like what 3 does and what this one does. It's awesome. It's awesome to see. I know that this releasing after San Andreas, a lot of people's expectations were kind of like high up above because San Andreas does do a lot. Like that 100% for that game was, oh man. I may complain about this one just a tad bit, but that one, man, I was pushing some hours in that game. And like, I did a video about this, talking about that. And yeah, it pushes some time on you. With this one, it's just a matter of tedious running around, no checkpoints, annoyances, Now having like the more vehicles as well. There's like a car giveaway love media activity you do in the game as well. You can get the majority of the vehicles and from Portland. Staten Island will have a lot of them as well, but Shoreside Vale, it's only like maybe 1 or 2 vehicles. But for the most part, yeah, it's all in Portland for that list. It was a not bad completion on that. It reminds me of the export import missions from San Andreas and the other titles, and this one felt the easiest. It's just knowing I had to look up one vehicle. I think it was like the Thunder God or the Thunder Rod or some crap like that. Jeez. And it was only available after a mission, which was kind of annoying. I was like, really? Like, why you have to tie this to a mission? Like, I get it, maybe put it to like a location. But no, it had to be tied to a damn mission. It was quite annoying. Now, Grand Theft Auto Liberty City Stories has its own legacy, and for the fact that it sold like at least 8 million copies on the original PSP, then it got re-released for the PS2, then it got re-released again on the mobile, and it's actually still available. I think own that copy. I just didn't play it. The graphics are not bad. They fixed the frame rate issue because the original PS2 and I think the PSP, there's lag. Like there's like an infamous like 20 frame, 15 frame lag that you got in that because the system is not that strong. Even the original PS2 is not that great. Top off at 30, but you have like maybe at the most 25, and unless you're doing something really taxing or you're switching weapons or the rendering, because even the rendering in that game, like for the buildings or the textures, it's very apparent. It's right in front of your face. It's just everything's popping up for that game for what it was developed for. For this game particularly, they had to actually make its own game engine different from the other engines they use for renderware because it was the PSP. It was very different hardware. It was very not the greatest hardware at the time, especially, now we have like the Switch and Steam Deck and X, Y, and Z, the PCs and all that shit. So, 2005 tech, it was just not up to snuff for the rendering for what this needed. Especially the fact that it's a team that literally specified in mobile ports or mobile games as Rockstar leads. They still did a great job for what it is. It's so jam-packed for just a small game on the PSP. It stands the test of time that a game like that can be made. Now, the mobile port, for the most part, I see a lot of videos, and more likely I'm going to put at least a video up here on the video. It's not bad. It looks a lot better. It looks more clean. It's very nice, buttoned up. It's a little easier. I heard that basically for the vigilante, ambulance, and the firefighting missions, it's 9, not compared to 12. So I'm like, what the hell? The icons in the game are a bit different. In the mobile port compared to the PS2 and the PSP versions. Why? I don't know. I guess they had a different art style or whatever the case. But for the most part, though, it's a very functioning port for Grand Theft Auto Liberty City Stories, which is really nice too, because I think, if I'm correct, it was one of the first games that got to be put on mobile. Yeah, so from all the releases here that there's been put out, it's been 8 million sales, and that was a date of 2008. That was back in 2008. We don't even know what the mobile port got, So looking at that, pretty damn cool. So this game got enhanced back in the day from 2016. It got released on iOS first on 2015. There was an Android version in February of 2016. And then March 2016, there was a Fire OS version as well. So, this one's very available. It's freaking awesome. That's something about this game. It just sticks. It's really nice. You don't have to worry too much on it. And it works out. Now, one thing I think a lot of people are wondering, ever since the definitive edition got done, it got destroyed on release, and then it finally got a decent update recently. Are we going to get a remaster of this game? Are we going to get a remaster of Vice City Stories? That's the big question. Because it's already been re-released, I think, a few times. Now we're going to go in, and maybe they'll get a re-release. This is such a solid game for what it is back then. And now looking at it, hindsight, it's probably done better sales, since 2008. But, time will tell. We'll see if we ever get a remaster of this. Them doing that back in 2015 and 2016 for those ports, pretty interesting. So, if anything, if they do a remaster of any sort, I would like the run and gun features from like the definitive edition that is there now. I would like the classic mode to give it a nice look, because to think about it, it hasn't a significant look in Liberty City Stories where there's like that afternoon or morning glare of the sun, and basically it's just a clean city there. And then the weather, the fog and all that, it had its own vibe too as well. So that's something that they should be able to do so very easily. Now, will they do that? We don't know. Right now, they've been taking down so many big things like mods right now for, Grand Theft Auto 4, Grand Theft Auto 5. They've been taking down all these little projects that they're literally, like, one was literally porting Liberty City from Grand Theft Auto 4 to 5. And then you got Vice City basically ported to the Grand Theft Auto 4 Rage engine. So it's like, what the hell? What the hell? What we will get? We don't know. Rockstar is right now busy up the ante right now with Grand Theft Auto 6. We're still waiting for, we haven't even got a second trailer as of January 29th of this year of 2025. We don't know if we're going to get another big old update on that. But even just seeing another port of this, a PC port, a definitive edition port, a remaster, whatever, it would be nice. It would be cool if we actually get the multiplayer back. That'd be nice. Shoot, just 6-player multiplayer. You know, you load up a lobby and you just go and have fun. That'd be pretty cool. You know, that was something pretty cool back in the day with just a regular PSP, and you know, you have fun and you just go around killing people and little mini objectives, like basically what GTA Online does on some of their modes they have. Now, talking about all this game, personally for me, it's a nice sweet spot because it was just right after San Andreas we got this, and it was a nice addition. I owned the original PSP version and I had the PS2 version, and I like both versions of it. I prefer both for the fact that you were able to put your own music on the PSP compared to the PS2. It ran better. There is some kind of issues that people are complaining about because now going down to the emulator, there's a patch that literally gives you 60 frames per second. It runs well. It fixes like the widescreen. It's nice. It's a nice little creature comfort into this, and it just fixes it. It doesn't do a bad job. It doesn't do a horrible job. It just does it right, makes it run, and just gets the job done. Now you have to find your own copy, you know, for the game. Now I got a backed up copy of my own, so you know I don't have to deal with such an issue. But that's something, an option that could happen with the with that PS2 emulator. I'm just gonna say it like that, the PS2 emulator. But anyways, one thing I will say, and this is a little tip within the PS2 emulator, for the particularly with Grand Theft Auto Liberty City Stories. For anybody that does not know, there's an emulation profile. Hold on, let me see here. Graphics. And it's one particular thing you have to run it on, and it cannot be your actual graphics. So what I did, I used OpenGL, and it runs better that way. Don't use Vulkan if you have like an AMD card or anything like that. Particularly with this game, it prefers the OpenGL because it just runs up a lot better. I had crashes on that Vulkan option. So that's just a heads up for anybody that ever actually gets a hand of it and tries it on that emulator to play it like that. It's still a fun time. It's still cool. I think it's still a really solid Grand Theft Auto series. It is, if you want to compare it to all the rest, it's literally between, it's like not neck and neck with Vice City because man, Vice City does it right. Man, the soundtrack, it's a good thing, man. That's a good time. But with this game, it's like just a tad bit below Vice City, I will say. Because, you know, neck and neck with Vice City, it's San Andreas. And the thing is, personally, I like Vice City, and I have said this on numerous times in the other videos. I respect San Andreas for what it brings to the table, you know. Tell me your thoughts in the comments, okay? Tell me your thoughts. Let me know how you feel about it. Grand Theft Auto Liberty City Stories is still a solid title in the mix. It is one that brings a lot to that PSP time. And now, you know, for what it is, it still, I think, literally has its own little legacy within the original titles itself. Now, it's not like, oh my God, we're breaking sales numbers on it. No. But, and the thing is too, you know, because Rockstar they delisted this game. Yeah, editor me. I was saying something about, oh, you can't get this game. Oh, this game is delisted. I'm such an idiot. Disregard what I'm going to say, and more likely, just hear me out. The only copy of this you can actually get is Liberty City Stories is the mobile. That's it. Unless you can buy a PS2 or PSP copy, and actually get it to function on a functioning PSP or a functioning PS2. That's basically it. That's all I had to say, man. I mean, I'll be seeing some goofy stuff in these videos. Anyways, back to the video. That's why I kind of complain about a remaster, you know, because we need it. We want, you know, for most people, I think Vice City Stories, Liberty City Stories, these two are solid games. Give us access to them. You know what I mean? Port them, do what you got to do. I think people would buy this particular game for what it is. It's a short game. You don't have to blow our freaking nuts on the wallet, you know, for the game. You know, maybe a good solid, what, 30, 40 bucks, maybe, depending on how much they do on the remaster or the definitive edition or whatever you're gonna call it. That's something to be talked about. And another thing too, there's not that much artwork in this game either. I noticed that now looking at the actual cover, because in the game there's like hints of artwork and all that, but there really isn't that much artwork of it. But I'm already rambling at this point. I'm jumping around ideas. Like, subscribe if you like the content. Put your thoughts down in the comment section about this game. Let me know how you feel about it, what you have experienced about it, what about this game sits well with you or it doesn't sit well with you. Just let me know. The next project, I'm debating Vice City Stories or Grand Theft Auto 4 at this point. I have those two in hand and I'm wondering which one to do. That will be an interesting think about right now because, man, those two, Vice City Stories does up the game a bit. And then you got Grand Theft Auto 4, that's just a big game itself. So I'm like, I'm debating, I'm like, man, which is next? So anyways, I'll see you on the next video, alright? Peace.